Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of BTTH The Flame Emperor episode number 211 based on novel. So let's start. Strangeness. This direction, isn't it the place to leave the Blood River teleportation formation? What the is this Gorefiend doing? Xiao Yan has been chasing after him, but every time he is about to catch up with the Gorefiend will not hesitate to spend his source power and temporarily stop Xiao Yang. The power in the river of blood suddenly became wriggling. It seems that someone has passed through here, condensing extremely evil power. At this moment, the soul-devouring talisman in Xiao Yang's body said, "Hey, forget it, I'll just swallow him in a while, see if he's still arrogant." After a while, the Soul Eater said, for a powerhouse of the level of the Gorefiend, after swallowing, with the help of the Soul Eater, transforming power is enough to transform it into one's own power, thereby restoring a lot of one's own power. Senior. The blood demon is evil, and he also made our senior brother Yin Tong of Funxiang Pavilion suffer so much, so let me do it. Senior brother's revenge must be avenged by me. Xiao Yang smiled when he heard this. Although Xiao Yang didn't know the strength of the Soul Eater talisman, it was definitely not simple. In his eyes, a Gorefiend would naturally be unreasonable. Good boy, you have courage. Soul Eater was also a little surprised when he heard the words, but he still laughed. The Soul Eater knew that Xiao Yang's approach was somewhat stubborn and selfish, because only after killing the Gorefiend could he gain the approval of the Ghost Face Soul Talisman, but it was undeniable that Xiao Yang had no regard for the sect of Burning Incense Pavilion. Door honor, or quite fancy. Let's go, it's almost there. As soon as she finished speaking, she continued chasing away, and Xiao Yi also looked at Mu Yingying and Yin Tong, and swept away frantically at the teleportation formation. In the forest outside the teleportation formation, the countless disciples here were already extremely chaotic. What is that? Some disciples' eyes were extremely sharp, and they were surprised when they noticed the blood-red aura emerging from the forest. But these disciples didn't react yet, and suddenly burst into the sky with screams, and then all the disciples who were touched by the blood-red aura were all uncontrolled and flew directly towards the center of the forest. And go. Fut. With a sound, when the disciples stained with blood-red aura just came into contact with the center of the formation, they turned into a cloud of shocking blood, and not even a trace of their soul was left behind. Dead. Song Yu looked at some of the disciples around him, and couldn't help but shrink his pupils and said, "The Xianling royal family, what are they doing?" Du Chun scolded in a low voice, "The current appearance has exceeded the limit they can handle. That formation seems to have absorbed the power of our disciples, and then condensed something." Feng Lin's face was ugly at this time. These disciples are the mainstays of their respective sects, and they are now being swallowed by this evil spirit. The soul is not left, no doubt the most heartache. All disciples, step back. Don't touch the radiance. After a while, Genshin let out a loud shout. Obviously, he couldn't find a solution for a while, so he could only resort to this. In addition, other super sects are the same as this scene. Is this the end? Some disciples couldn't help muttering. The sky was full of blood-colored aura, an evil aura, and even one after another figure was constantly entangled by the blood-colored aura, and then flew directly into the sky, turning into a layer of blood mist with a bang, and finally injected into the formation. In a vague thing above the law. How can this be good? At present, more than a quarter of the disciples have been lost. If this goes on, how should I explain to the sect? Some super sect powerhouses were unable to shake their blood and vigor even after racking their brains, and couldn't help but feel discouraged. Gore demon, where are you running? Just when there was a hint of despair in everyone's heart, a deafening voice entered their minds. Xiao Yang. Some figures finally had a glimmer of hope in their hearts. This Xiao Yang was the most outstanding disciple in the Funxiang Pavilion. With him around, his chances of life would probably increase a lot. Bastard. After chasing for so long, it's time for you to taste the real death. Ha ha ha. The Gorefiend's figure suddenly swept into the blood-colored aura that had devoured many disciples, and laughed loudly. And as the Gorefiend poured into the blood-colored aura, his entire body suddenly exuded an extremely tyrannical aura. Meet the Gorefiend Lord. Xian Wanjin said respectfully as soon as the Gorefiend entered the formation. Xian Wanjin, you have done a good job, and I will never treat you badly after this is done. The Gorefiend said with a gratified smile. This is something that belongs to the subordinates. Xian Wanjin was overjoyed when he heard the words. Take good control of the Gorefiend array. The current power is not enough. The gore fiend continued to release the power of evil, and a rather vague huge energy body like a river of blood appeared in the array. Okay. Xian Wanjin agreed softly, and then continued to increase his strength to control the formation, and one disciple after another was swallowed in. The river of blood. Condense it for this envoy. The gore fiend also laughed evilly, and then said. As soon as the voice fell, in the formation, a river of blood-colored energy about 100 meters in size suddenly appeared above the heads of the two of them. Through this river of blood, countless disciples in the forest were all shocked. The array is out, let's go back. Just when Xiao Yang, surrounded by ghosts, was about to start, the Soul Eater suddenly said. Xiao Yang is not a reckless person either, he just retreated, and then walked towards the Funxiang Pavilion large army. Is this the end of the day? Ling Xian and Qinshin Mufeng, who led the large group at Funxiang Pavilion, couldn't help but say in their hearts. What should I do now? Little junior sister? Seeing that some of the disciples around him were being swallowed in, some disciples in the Funxiang Pavilion couldn't help but ask the three of them. Let's leave it to senior brother. Ling Xian shook her head slightly when she heard the words. You still come, little junior sister. I'm not a qualified leader. With your leadership, none of our incense-burning disciples have lost. I believe they will trust you. The senior brother also laughed aside. You. Ling Xian said immediately with some tears flashing in her beautiful eyes. Yep. Yeah, junior sister led us into the Blood River realm and gained many opportunities, but I didn't take any money. Among the disciples, some voices continued to emerge. Sorry, I came back late. And just when everyone was united, Xiao Yang's figure arrived as promised. In that case, we will do our best to assist senior brother Xiao Yang, to obliterate the evil people from outside the realm. Seeing Xiao Yang's familiar voice coming back, at that time, all the disciples of the Burning Incense Pavilion will gather here. And it seems that he noticed that the river of blood in the sky is getting more and more solid, and the powerhouses of other supersects are also moving towards Funxiang Pavilion, and they don't know why. With the arrival of Xiao Yang and the others, the powerhouses of other supersects also slowly came to the residence of Funxiang Pavilion. Feng Lin in the ancient desolate palace? Wan Jianmen Genshin? Who are you? Senior brother Mu Tianyuan recognized many of them at a glance, and immediately opened his mouth. Brother Tianyuan, stay safe. Genshin said with a smile. In addition to Kenshin, the leaders of other supersects also came here. Stop gossiping. Mu Tianyuan, Feng Lin, and Genshin have a good relationship, but that doesn't mean they have a good relationship with other supersect powerhouses, so he said calmly. Senior brother Mu, you have also seen that the teleportation formation that left the Blood River in front of you was modified by the Xianling royal family. The current formation can be regarded as something that will destroy us. For today's plan, only we can join forces. At this time, Hua Lexin, who was carrying a puppet, stepped forward and said, That's right. Jiongyan Jiu Dangu and other super sect powerhouses nodded in succession. Hey, this formation is helpless for you, but it doesn't mean that we can't crack it by burning incense. At this moment, Xiao Yang stood up and laughed. Oh, junior brother Xiao Yang really has this ability. At this time, the powerhouses of those supersects also shined. I have a way to defeat him and get out of here. Xiao Yang said with a smile. That's really gratifying to congratulate. After hearing the words, the other supersect experts took a deep breath and said, with Xiao Yang's words, they were relieved. Everyone, at this time, I'll open the skylight and say something bright. I can indeed defeat this extraterritorial evil race, but I have no obligation to take you away. A smile appeared on the corner of Xiao Yang's mouth. Xiao Yang. You. White-eyed wolf. And following Xiao Yang's words, the other supersect powerhouses all frowned, but the people from the Poison Sect and Wanhua Pavilion were secretly standing in the Burning Incense Pavilion, feeling reasonable. Xiao Yang will take them away together. It's easy to ask me to take you away. Help us to obliterate all the disciples of the Xianling royal family. Xiao Yang also knew that it was impossible to completely offend these people at present, but it was obviously impossible to make Xiao Yangbai contribute. Destroy the Xianling royal family? This is a matter for your Burning Incense Pavilion. If we do this, I'm afraid we will stand on the opposite side of the Xianling royal family. Some strong people still declined. It's fine if you don't want to. Don't worry, without my help, you can't leave here. Xiao Yi, let's go. Xiao Yang finished speaking. Without hesitation, he took Xiao Yi directly towards the map, and Yin Tong followed slowly. The reason why Xiao Yang didn't take action immediately was because it took time to absorb the power of the Soul Eater talisman, but the power absorbed at the moment was obviously enough to kill the Gore Fiend, so he didn't stop there, otherwise the river of blood would become more condensed and would be a real threat to the safety of their lives. Damn. This Xiao Yang is really slick. Seeing Xiao Yang leave, other strong men who were not reconciled also cursed. Everyone, please make your own choices. Fengxiang disciples, follow me to kill the Shenling royal family. And the senior brother Mu Qianyuan also trusted Xiao Yang very much, and did not say too much to those strong people. He directly called the hundreds of disciples behind him to prepare to kill the Shenling royal family. Go! Sisters of Wanhua Pavilion, together with Burning Incense Pavilion, kill the Shenling royal family. Son of the Poison Sect, follow me to kill the Shenling royal family. The people of the ancient desolate palace listen to my orders and kill the Shenling royal family. Wan Jianmen. 4 voices sounded, and then the whole sky radiated a majestic fighting intent. Grown-ups. This. And the disciples of the Shenling royal family were all shrouded in blood-colored aura at this time, but they did not turn into nourishment, and even their aura was faintly strengthened. Pass my order, don't keep your hands, cast a blood curse to obliterate everyone here. Shen Wanjin laughed as he saw that many of his disciples had turned into nourishment for the river of blood. Disciples of the Shenling royal family, cast a blood curse to destroy everyone here. And the leader of the Shenling royal family also said, Xiao Yang, this kid is very clever, and it is not so easy to obliterate the disciples of the Shenling royal family. I'm afraid the power of the blood curse on their bodies will be even higher. However, as of now, I can only pin all my hopes on Xiao Yang. Jian Xin said slowly, it's all here, there is no choice. Let's fight. The other super sects who were dissatisfied with Xiao Yang at the beginning also summoned their disciples and attacked the Shenling royal family. At that time, the entire forest was full of blood, and the disciples of countless super sects not only fought with the Shenling royal family, but even the blood river continued to absorb their power. Is this your last resort? Xiao Yang was at a height below zero, and the black energy from the origin continued to emerge from his body, looking at the blood demon envoy who was entrenched on the huge river of blood and said, the power in your body is very strong. But I believe it's almost exhausted. The Gore Fiend seemed to be extremely afraid of the soul-eating aura on Xiao Yang's body, and said, Blood demon envoy, today, you will die. Xiao Yang said slightly with a calm expression. Who will kill the deer? Let's make a move to decide the outcome. The Gore Fiend said with a smile. I can't ask for it. Xiao Yang was a little surprised when he heard the words, but the ancient ruler of the eternal fire was slightly removed from the back, and a majestic and bright flame slowly radiated out. This guy has not only the power of holy flame, but also the power of eating souls. I'm afraid this power is not enough. Disciple of the Shenling royal family, sacrifice blood. The Gore Fiend had just finished muttering in his heart, and suddenly his palms changed drastically. Bang bang bang. The next moment, the disciples of the Shenling royal family who were fighting against countless super sects in the forest below suddenly rose up, and finally shrank suddenly, and exploded directly. Shabu shabu. All the disciples of the Shenling royal family did not escape the attack of the blood demon envoy, and immediately they all turned into a fog of blood and merged into the river of blood. Using all the disciples of the Shenling royal family as a bet, this blood demon envoy is also afraid of junior brother Xiao Yang. Come on, junior brother, we believe in you. Seeing that all the disciples of the Shenling royal family disappeared in an instant, Mu Qianyuan also exuded a sense of relief that his great revenge had been paid. Ha ha ha. Xiao Yang, let me see how you fight me. The river of blood, destroy it for me. After the blood mist of all the disciples of the Shenling royal family was injected, an extremely powerful and tyrannical sense of oppression came out directly from the river of blood. The first foot of the 7-layered sky-breaking ruler, 3-step swimming ruler, 2-foot waves stack 1,000 feet, 3-foot foot shadow, 4-foot shattering ruler, 4 dazzling ruler beams, with the power of holy flame and the mysterious power of the soul-devouring talisman, directly hit the incomparably evil river of blood. Boom! The 4 caimans just touched the blood river, and they only caused a slight damage, and they were wiped out. Xiao Yang, I see who can save you today. Seeing this, the Gore Fiend immediately laughed out loud. Sure enough, but 5 feet imprisoned in the sky. 6 feet of separation. Xiao Yang saw that 4 feet can't work. There was a hint of determination in his pupils, and an even greater force emerged. Bang bang bang. Another 2 tyrannical caimans attacked, and the blood river suddenly trembled. Gulu. And after the two Kai Orns caused tremors to the blood river, they also dissipated. Nice power. If you are stronger than this, I'm afraid my attack really can't deal with you. However, it's over. The Gore Fiend laughed frantically, because he was shocked to discover the rapidly shrinking power within Xiao Yang's body. The seventh foot, the ruler of the sky. At this moment, on Xiao Yang's left and right hands, two prismatic crystals exuding khaki and cyan flames appeared directly, and then a burst of incomparably pure power erupted against the blood. The river was purified, and at the same time, a dazzling milky white ruler slowly fell off from Xiao Yang's hand. Without any sound and without the slightest power, it was like the first ray of light before dawn pierced through the darkness and blasted away at the incomparably evil river of blood. Bang bang bang! The two dazzling attacks clashed directly, and the Gore Fiend didn't have time to be surprised. His pupils shrank tightly, and a familiar voice came out slowly. Senior brother. Your revenge, I will avenge you. As the voice fell, the Gore Fiend only felt that his chest was pierced by a palm full of cyan and khaki flames, and the many experts in the forest below who were still worried about Xiao Yang were now dumbfounded. Do not. Impossible. The Gore Fiend was hit so hard at this time, and an incredible look flashed in his pupils. Die. The corner of Xiao Yang's mouth cracked open, and a wave of death radiated directly. With Xiao Yang's increasing attack, the two Saint Flame crystals on the left and right hands burst out with dazzling power, directly wrapping the Blood Demon Envoy to Tuanchuan. The next moment, the Blood Demon Envoy felt a force of destruction from the heart directly from the two different colored holy flames, and the heart-piercing screams were heard incessantly. In just a few breaths, the body of the Gore Fiend, even the blood-colored aura, was directly baked by the power of the two holy flame crystals, the Fire Heart Tianyang and the Ghost Face Soul Flame. For nothingness. The Gore Fiend made half of his power completely wiped out, and the two Saint Flame crystals on Xiao Yang's body also quieted down. As for the attack in the sky, it slowly dissipated. The next moment, Xiao Yang was like a bird frightened, flying upside down from the sky to the ground. Damn! 7 feet to break the sky, it's still a bit too reluctant, but fortunately it succeeded. Xiao Yang smiled slowly, and then no matter what happened inside his body, his eyelids were extremely heavy, and he closed his eyes directly. The reason why Xiao Yang was able to display the 7-foot shattering sky just now was on the one hand with the power of the soul-devouring talisman, and on the other with the power of the ghost-faced soul flame Saint Yangjing, otherwise Xiao Yang's current strength would not be able to fully display it 7 feet out. And after destroying half of the Gore Fiend's power, Yin Tong's eyes also flickered with a hint of relief, and then the blue ghost-faced soul flame Saint Yangjing did not return to his body, but stayed on Xiao Yang's body. You succeeded. Just as Xiao Yang was in free fall, a figure of a beautiful figure burst out, and then slowly dragged Xiao Yang. A gentle voice resounded beside Xiao Yang. Don't be afraid. I will save him. Xiao Yang's body was too weak, so he didn't open his eyes, but he didn't need to think to know that it was Mu Yingying. Yep. Wait for your reply, we will leave here. Mu Yingying hugged Xiao Yang gently. The power of blue holy flames on her body continued to gather towards him, repairing the injured body. Fenxiang Pavilion this time. There is an amazing guy. The other super sects were shocked when they saw this apocalyptic battle being resolved so easily by the young man in front of them. And as the scene of the Blood River fell, the outside world was also surging. The headquarters of the Xianling royal family. Bang bang bang. A series of soul cards in the worship hall burst open in an instant, and the pupils of the guarding old man suddenly opened, and a wave of fear poured into his heart. Our disciples of the Xianling royal family. The whole army was wiped out. The old man's pupils were filled with an unbelievable taste. This time, the guys in the leadership of the Xianling royal family are from the 4 heavens. The strength of those 4 people is so strong that even some elders can surpass them. This matter must be told to King Xianling as soon as possible. The old man pondered for a while, and then walked directly towards the Xianling palace. Bang bang bang. King Xianling, who was resting with his eyes closed in the Xianling palace, suddenly made a chewing sound. King Xianling, what are you doing? But the Gore Fiend, who was awakened by the chewing sound, floated directly out of his source power and shouted angrily at King Xianling. Blood demon. Now, do you still lie to me? Don't think I don't know, the evil race from outside the territory can come to our Shentian Santian. The reason why you refused to come is nothing but your own problem. Originally, I contacted you to let you come to Shen Santian to help me unify this place, but I miscalculated. Rather than letting others rule, it's better to be comfortable yourself. And your current state is not too bad, right? King Xuanling's evil voice slowly emanated. King Xianling, what do you mean? Hearing the words, the source power of the Gore Fiend also vaguely realized that something was wrong, and immediately said, the reason why you are so heartbroken, there should be something from you there. Although what you did was very covert, I still found out. Now you only have the source power of half of the power of the Gore Fiend, and the other half of your power is suppressed in the Bloody River suppression. King Xianling said with a smile. You. Hearing the words of the source power, the Gore Fiend was startled and hurriedly fled. Because the other half of himself was completely wiped out just now, although he was surprised, he really felt it, and now he is extremely weak at this time. Don't worry, what you want to do is also what I want to do. Although the price of this sect competition is quite high, it's not too much of a loss to have you as compensation. King Xianling smiled slightly, then opened his mouth, and directly swallowed the Gore Fiend in. No! Seeing the power of the source, the Gore Fiend found that there were circles of black evil runes emerging from King Xuanling's body. If he was swallowed by such power, I'm afraid he would completely become the nourishment of King Xianling. Phut! The Xianling king naturally ignored these things and swallowed them directly. At this time, the power in his body was also skyrocketing in an instant. As for the source power of the Gore Fiend, it was completely integrated in his body. Gore Fiend, you've counted everything, but you haven't counted your own fate in the end. From now on, I will help you expand the power of your blood demon clan. King Xianling felt that the power in his body had vaguely reached the perfection of one-star fighting. Tilda couldn't help it. Laughed. Dong dong dong. In the next moment, there was a knock on the door. Come in. King Xianling said solemnly. My king. Our Xianling royal family disciples were in the sect competition. The whole army was wiped out. The soul cards are all broken. The old man who just guarded the soul cards said respectfully. It's interesting now. Although the losses were heavy, if they were not completely wiped out, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to devour the Gore Fiend so easily. King Xianling smiled disapprovingly. My king. The old man seemed to be unaware that King Xuanling's smile was of all kinds, so he wondered. My disciples of the Xianling royal family are not so easy to kill. According to my guess, this is probably related to the burning incense pavilion. Take that guy to Blood River Town. This time, at all costs, I must bring that kid Xiao Yang back to me. King Xianling shouted angrily, his pupils filled with killing intent. This kid Xiao Yang is undoubtedly the most annoying to King Xianling. Not only did he destroy his good deeds several times, but he even killed his most important prince, and now he has completely killed all the disciples of Emperor Xianling in the sect competition. Hatred, not too big. Yes. The old man nodded happily upon hearing this. He naturally knew that that guy had witnessed all the scenes where the third Prince Xuanmu was killed. The teleportation formation in Blood River Town. The place was already overcrowded, because the powerhouses of their respective supersects were here waiting for the disciples of their sects to leave the Blood River safely, and then lead them back to their respective sects. Someone has come out. I don't know who said it, and suddenly the hearts of many experts who were waiting outside the huge formation were flashing. The light of the teleportation formation suddenly flickered, and then hundreds of figures emerged from it. Among the figures, most of them were equipped with swords on their backs, and some were also muscular. It's the guy from the ancient desolate palace and Wanjianmen, some of the discerning people said directly. Ha ha ha, it seems that your ancient desolate palace and Wanjianmen came to the bottom of the sect competition this time. A beautiful woman on the other side said slowly. In the sect competition, regardless of life or death, the main thing is to leave the Blood River. The first one to leave the Blood River is undoubtedly the bottom, and the last one to leave is undoubtedly the real champion. How can these guys come out first? However, the leaders of the two forces of the ancient desolate palace and Wanjianmen obviously ignored these things, and their eyes were all on the silhouette that just emerged. Those figures all have large and small scars on their bodies, and even their breath is not stable. It is obvious that they have experienced some kind of war. Aren't the people from the burning incense pavilion and the Xianling royal family here? Jian Xin took the brunt of the brunt, glanced around at the people outside the formation, and then spoke. Let's go back separately first. The news inside is still not suitable to be released. After all, no one knows what the Xianling royal family is doing. When Xiao Yang and the others come out, these news will naturally come out. Feng Lin from the ancient desolate hall shook his head. The disciples of the two forces of you and I have also suffered losses. I also intend to return to the sect. Jian Xin laughed, and immediately took the remaining disciples and went to the strong of their sect. And with the departure of the two forces of the ancient desolate palace and Wanjianmen, the other powerhouses here are all slightly wrinkled, because with their strength, it is naturally not difficult to find that the two forces are actually tough. Shengsheng lost a quarter. The ancient Wilderness Hall and Wanjianmen are the leaders among the super sects. Such a tyrannical sect has lost many disciples, and the men and horses of other super sects may be at risk. After the people from ancient Desolate Hall and Wanjianmen left, people from other forces poured out one after another, but they were all the same as the two forces. Stop and go back to their respective sects. When they returned to their respective sects, the disciples who participated in the sect competition dared to tell their respective sect powerhouses what happened in the sect competition, and the super sect powerhouses couldn't help but face a big face when they heard the words change, because they know that if this is the case, I am afraid that Shen Santian will soon change. The residents of Burning Incense Pavilion in Blood River Town. Everyone knows about it, right? Zhu Jin sat on the top of the table, frowning from time to time, smiling from time to time, uncertain. Mu Tianyuan sent the information back, but this information is a bit shocking. The entire Xianling royal family who participated in the sect competition, all annihilated, but Mu Shuzi below smiled slowly, with a rare pride in his voice, because all these successes originated from Xiao Yang, and he Mu Shuzi can also be regarded as Xiao Yang's teacher. Yeah, all destroyed. In the past, only the Xianling royal family killed the disciples of our Funxiang pavilion. I can't think of being beaten back by this kid Xiao Yang. It's really heartwarming. Zhu Jin laughed. Yintong has also been found, and this pavilion master's heart has finally been solved. But what we didn't expect was that the Xianling Emperor Canyon had such a deep collusion with the foreign evil races. And the most distressing thing is Senior Yang Kai. Mu Shuzi on the side shook his head, and the smile just now gradually solidified. It's good to find Yintong, but Yang Kai is being controlled by the evil clan outside the territory. This is probably a conspiracy that the Xianling royal family has planned for a long time. After a while, the one next to Mu Shuzi looked at him. Shaking his head slightly, this guy is the hall master of the Funxiang Pavilion, the White Fang with the strength of a half-immortal. The most urgent task now is to find a way to safely return our disciples to the pavilion. All the disciples of the Xianling royal family will be wiped out. I'm afraid these guys won't let it go. Xiong Yuan, who was below, said slowly. Joke, the sect competition is a life-and-death fight. Their Xianling royal family killed many of our Funxiang pavilion disciples in the past. This time we finally took a breath. Do they still dare to tell if they can't do it? Hearing this, Mu Shuzi was furious. Haha, brother Mu, don't be impatient. The pavilion master has sent back the news to protect Xiao Yang. Zhu Jin said slowly. Is this true? Mu Shuzi couldn't help being shocked when he heard the words. He knew that Fen Tian's words undoubtedly represented the force field of the entire Funxiang pavilion. It's absolutely true. Zhu Jin said. Send someone to watch the teleportation formation, and once our incense-burning disciples appear, they will pick them up immediately. Zhu Jin Zaidu said. Is this too impatient? Said White Fang, the master of the human palace. The sect is smaller than the trial. Xiao Yang seems to have slaughtered Xuanmu, the third prince of the Xianling royal family. I am afraid that the Xianling royal family will use this as an excuse. Zhu Jin explained. This little guy. It's really worrying. But I like it. After the hall master said, everyone fell silent, always paying attention to the movement of the teleportation formation in the residence of the Xianling royal family in Shuehe town. Our disciples are all destroyed. I'm afraid that the matter of the evil race outside the territory has been exposed. What should I do? In the hall, some elders couldn't help but say, everyone, don't be impatient. These things, my king will naturally handle them well. Our top priority now is to catch the murderer who killed our disciples of the Xianling royal family. Qin Tian, who was sitting in the first place, said slowly. Ever since the Zhongmen competition began, all the members of the Dragon Addiction Legion have quietly come to Blood River Town. The sect competition is a life-and-death battle. If there is no suitable excuse, I'm afraid. Yimo said in a low voice. Hey, it's not that there are no excuses. Qin Tian said with a gloomy smile. Just as the laughter fell, a thin man appeared directly. I saw Xiao Yang kill the third Prince Xuanmu with my own eyes. The thin man said slowly. In that case, let's wait for the good news. Once the people of Funxiang Pavilion leave the Blood River, they will be arrested immediately. And Qin Tian also smiled slowly. With that kind of power, his strength has reached the real fighting immortal, and Yi Mo has also reached the half-immortal. and even other members of the other dragon-loving legions, all of which have entered the level of the 9-star Do Emperor. When Xiao Yang opened his heavy eyelids, what was reflected in his pupils was a dark space. In this space, only a huge teleportation formation could be seen. As for the forest that covered the formation, I am afraid that the original under the attack of Xiao Yang and the Blood Demon Envoy, it had already vanished into nothing. Senior brother Xiao Yang is awake. Xiao Yang just barely opened his pupils, and all of a sudden, ecstatic voices emanated like a tide. The next moment, hurried footsteps sounded one after another, and many high-level officials of the Funxiang Pavilion quickly gathered towards the place where Xiao Yang was. "I've been in a coma for a few days," Xiao Yang asked immediately after looking at the gratified senior brothers. "You've been in a coma for 10 days. In 10 days, all the super sects who participated in the sect competition have left here. If the power in the Blood River has not reached saturation, I am afraid that we will also be squeezed out." Mu Tianyuan on the side stepped forward. One step, he smiled slightly. "It's been 10 days. Xiao Yang muttered, and then got up gently, even though the injury in his body had completely healed. "Don't look at me. These days, it's all thanks to junior sister Mu Yingying and junior brother Xiaoyi who have continuously fed you with the power of flame, and your injury has improved. Otherwise," Mu Tianyuan hurriedly explained Xiao Yang's doubtful gaze. "Thank you." Xiao Yang heard the words, and immediately cast his eyes on Mu Yingying. "Yes." After Xiao Yang said this, Mu Yingying's pretty face immediately flushed, like a red petal, which was very attractive. Then Xiao Yang cross-examined some unimportant matters, and immediately said, "The disciples of the Shenling royal family are all wiped out. I am afraid they will not be so kind and let it go. The troops will converge and return to the cabinet. Everything depends on senior brother Xiao Yang. Everything depends on senior brother Xiao Yang. Everything depends on senior brother Xiao Yang." As soon as Xiao Yang's voice fell, the disciples behind him immediately burst into a loud drink. Obviously, Xiao Yang's desperate appearance to fight the Gore-Fiend had won the true conviction of these disciples. I'm afraid the current Blood River town is extremely popular. While watching this scene, Xiao Yi opened her mouth slightly. When the soldiers come, they will block the water and cover with the soil. Xiao Yang laughed. "In that case, let's go. It's time to leave here," Xiao Yang said slowly when he saw that Mu Yingying, Yin Tong, Xiao Yi, and the others around him were all right. "Let's go." Several other high-level officials nodded when they heard the words. As soon as the voice fell, the team of hundreds of people immediately turned into a meteor and went towards the teleportation formation. Blood River Town. As the Zoman competition came to an end, the atmosphere of the entire Blood River Town became very strange, because the disciples who participated in the Zoman competition more or less spread some information, so that the entire Blood River Town the atmosphere was hot to the extreme. I don't know why the guys from Burning Incense Pavilion haven't come out yet. At this time, on an attic in Shuehe Town, 2 beautiful figures appeared slightly. These guys from Burning Fragrance Pavilion are proud of themselves this time, but the Shenling royal family is so arrogant and domineering, and this time the loss is so heavy, I'm afraid they won't let it go. These 2 people are the 5 poisons of Poison Sect and Shochi of Wanhua Pavilion. In my opinion, this Xiao Yang has a very calm nature. I'm afraid he won't come out for a long time, because he is recovering his strength. After all, with his smartness, he must know that when he comes out, he has to deal with the wrath of the Shenling royal family. Shochi said. "Oh, it's here." Just as Wuju was about to speak, he saw the dazzling light of the teleportation formation in Blood River Town. In the border area of Blood River Town, there is a formation. The formation is a teleportation formation that connects the blood rivers, but it can only go out, not in. At this moment, in this formation, a burst of dazzling rays of light emerged, and then a monstrous aura emerged. After a while, hundreds of tyrannical auras suddenly appeared in the air. These auras just appeared, and immediately the eyes of some figures who were guarding outside the formation also became hot, because they could easily tell the difference by virtue of their auras, and this was the disciple of Burning Incense. "I'm back." In front of the hundreds of figures, a man with a heavy ruler on his back opened his dark pupils and spit out a word. "Good, you ruthless boy. How dare you kill all the elites of my Shenling royal family? The killing intent is too heavy, and it will not benefit your future cultivation. Follow me back to the Shenling royal family, abolish your cultivation, and let Fen Tian lead you back." And just in the middle of the formation, when Xiao Yang and his party all appeared, 10 amazing breaths suddenly appeared. Swept away at Xiao Yang and his party. These 10 figures, lined up one by one, are impressively the 10 most powerful dragon-loving army members in the Xianling royal family. Elder Qin Tian, the sect competition is a life-and-death battle. You say that, it seems that your Xianling royal family is too small. And when 10 amazing breaths emerged in front of Xiao Yang's crowd, a soft light the curtain landed on Xiao Yang in an instant, removing the coercion generated by the dragon-loving legion from the 2nd and 7th districts, and several powerful men with equally tyrannical breaths appeared in an instant. These people are the Funxiang Pavilion Zhujin, Mu Shuzi, Xiong Yuan, and the Master of the Human Palace, by Y.A. Zhujin. Stop talking nonsense. My Xianling royal family's disciples who participated in the sect competition were all destroyed. This feud must be avenged. Qin Tian brought a whole 10 members of the dragon-loving legion and said directly to Zhu Jin. Joke. In the previous sect competition, my Funxiang Pavilion disciple was killed by your Xianling royal family. Have I ever complained in the Funxiang Pavilion? Zhu Jin said sternly. Zhu Jin, don't use your words. I have reported this matter back to the palace, and the top officials of the palace are furious. But for the sake of the sect competition, I will only bring back the culprit. I must bring Xiao Yanji back. If you insist on blocking it, then the big deal is that the second pavilion will start a war. Qin Tian was also not afraid of Zhu Jin at all, and then said with a sudden shock. It's a good 2 pavilions to start a war, but I'll leave it here. Xiao Yang is the person named by my Funxiang pavilion to protect. I see today, who would dare to touch him? Zhu Jin looked at the arrogant Qin Tian and immediately burst out. Furthermore, in the sect competition, their skills are not as good as others, and they deserve to die, they deserve it. At the end of the sentence, Zhu Jin smiled with a dangerous arc on the corner of his mouth. Zhu Jin, you are courting death. And Qin Tian, who was already angry, was so provoked by Zhu Jin, his whole body suddenly burst out. 1-star fighting immortal? Zhu Jin frowned when he saw this. Qin Tian's strength was always at the peak of Do Di. How could he step into 1-star fighting immortal in such a short period of time? The gap between the half-immortal and the 1-star Do immortal can be said to be a world of difference, not to mention the gap between the strength of the Do Emperor's peak and that of the 1-star Do immortal. There's a good show to watch. If you don't say anything else, the background of the Burning Incense Pavilion and the Xianling royal family is really terrifying. 2.5 immortals. A 1-star fighting immortal, a half-immortal. And not to mention the other 9-star fighting emperors. At this time, the figure watching the lively below slowly looked at the second group of people in the sky with the extremely strong smell of gunpowder, and said, "This video will end here.